For the drivers of these exotic cars, Lime Rock is no picnic. Last year, Bob Julius and his Jaguar learned hard lessons in traffic. World champion Derek Bell drove the wheels off his Porsche and drove the wheels from under the Buick of Whitney Gans. Bell's car owner and teammate, Al Holbert, drove a superb race last year, starting him on a string of 5 victories in 7 races that would catapult Al Holbert to his 5th Camel GT Series championship. Today, Holbert returns to Lime Rock with Chip Robinson as his co-driver, but they will have tremendous competition. Last month, here on ESPN, the Jaguar of John Morton drove under Robinson with just 2 laps to go to take a dramatic victory in the last season for Group 44. The local favorites are here, too. 2 years ago, Dyson Racing from across the state line in Poughkeepsie, New York, splashed to the victory in their very first Camel GT race. They capture the hearts of the Lime Rock crowd in doing so. This year at Lime Rock, the man they will all be chasing is Chip Robinson from Bedminster, New Jersey. Driving one of 2 Holbert Racing Porsches in Saturday qualifying, Robinson put the car on the ragged edge of control, taking the pole for the 16th running of the Lime Rock Camel Grand Prix here on ESPN. ESPN, the world leader in motorsports coverage, presents Speed World. Cloudy skies, temperatures in the low 60s, and a dry racetrack. Perfect conditions for the world's fastest and most exotic sports cars. Hello, everyone. I'm Bob Varsha, hoping you're enjoying a safe and peaceful Memorial Day weekend. Lime Rock Park in New England is not the most pleasurable of circumstances for racetracks. The winter's cold has made this racing surface very, very bumpy, and this 1.5-mile circuit is about as punishing as the International Motorsports Association Camel GT drivers are likely to face this year. With me is someone who knows that very well, our color commentator for today's race, Camel GTO racer Lynn St. James. And Lynn, this racetrack is one that will punish both drivers and cars.
That's right, Bob. It's short, it's tight, and it's very bumpy. So you're abused in there. It's very physically demanding. You never have a chance to relax, and it's very, very hard on equipment. And the equipment, though, because it's so tight, is a little bit of an equalizer, which was going to give a non-turbocharged car a little bit more of advantage over the turbocharged car. So cars like the Ford Mustang, Probe, and the Jaguar are both going to have, I think, a pretty good shot here. It's also, because it's so short, the lighter non-turbocharged cars like the light cars are going to have a really good race out there. And I would predict that we might even have some Camel light cars running up in the top 5 doing very, very well. And we're going to watch a lot of those Camel light cars. There's a lot of them out there, and I think it's going to be a very good race for them.
Well, since you brought up the Camel Lights cars, let's put them in the spotlight now. Let's go to Marty Reed, one of our pit reporters for today's race, with our Camel Lights pole sitter.
Thanks, Bob. Hello again, everyone. Sitting on the pole in the Camel Lights division, Don Bell, current point leader in the category. Your only second time on this track, Don, but this course has not been very friendly to you in the past.
Marty, I think it's like airlines. You know, some airlines are friendly and some are not. The other courses have been friendly to us this year, but we're entering this one with a lot of trepidation. Both Jeff and I, my co-driver, crashed here last year, and our crew chief was run over in the pit lane last year and sent to the hospital. So we don't know what it's going to be like this year, but we hope it gets friendlier than it has been.
Can things get worse?
Well, they can always get worse. So let's hope they get better. A little absence of bad luck would make us very happy here this weekend.
Realistically, starting in the 8th position, there is a good chance that you could crack the top 5 for certain and maybe even the top 3 overall.
I think for sure you'll see whoever wins the Camel Light class wind up in the top 5. If we should happen to place in the top 3, it'll be the highest place that Camel Light has placed, but I think it's entirely possible.
Well, speaking of the GTP cars, let's go over to the man of the hour with Hurley Haywood, Gary Lee.
Thank you, Marty, and good afternoon. It was just 4 weeks ago yesterday the Group 44 Jag drove to Victory Lane at Riverside, California with Hurley Haywood and John Morton. Today, the 12-cylinder, non-turbocharged Jag starts outside the front row. And I would think, Hurley, with this track being so short, you might have your greatest shot this season at a second victory.
Well, I hope so. The Jaguar is working really well here, and the turbocharged cars really are, it helps us. They're still running 10 miles an hour faster down the straightaway here, but with the normally aspirated engine, and we don't have turbo lag, it really helps us in the back section, and that's why the times are so close this race.
It has to be a bittersweet season for you. You know this is the last season for Group 44 in the Jag competition, and at this point in time, I think you're a little unsure of your schedule for next year.
Well, that's right. It's really unfortunate. The Jaguar seems to be really working for us this year, and it's a shame that we can't do more races, but the races that we are going to do, we're going to try to do our very best, and I hope that we can win this race for Jaguar.
So Hurley will start. John Morton will also see action in car 44, the Jag. Bob?
Thank you, Gary. We will indeed be watching for that 12-cylinder Jaguar. ESPN's coverage of the Lime Rock Camel Grand Prix is brought to you by B.F. Goodrich TA Radials. We make your car perform. By Quaker State Motor Oil. New Quaker State with QSX keeps your engine cleaner to last longer. By Dodge, setting new standards of performance. And by Busch Beer, the beer with a taste as smooth as its name. We'll be back to set the field for the running of today's Camel Lime Rock Grand Prix on ESPN after these important messages.
A full line of Volkswagen Jettas. German-engineered, fuel-injected engine. Front-wheel drive. And now the best deal yet. 3.9 financing plus factory incentives on all Jetta models. But hurry, this limited offer makes them go fast.
Time for an oil change. But we're not using your Quaker State. We're switching to something better. New Quaker State with QSX.
Introducing new Quaker State with QSX because car-caring people want superior engine protection. Look at the sludge other leading motor oils leave behind. New Quaker State with QSX keeps your engine cleaner to last longer.
I knew you'd like it. Ready? Hey, no.
Now reach for the best and grab a bargain. Save $3.60 on a case of new Quaker State. Bob Strange, B.F. Goodrich test engineer.
The trick to building great all-terrain tires is making them as good off-road as on. All-terrain TAs from B.F. Goodrich are tested in some of the roughest off-road situations in the world. I believe TA radials are the best performance tires in the world, and I torture them to keep them that way.
TA radials from B.F. Goodrich, tested tough to make your truck perform.
Coming this fall to ESPN. The best of the NFL. From preseason contests to 8 Sunday night clashes and the season finale Pro Bowl, you'll see it all live on ESPN. From start to finish this year, pro football duels here on the exclusive cable home of the NFL, ESPN.
You get a brief glimpse of the 1.53-mile Lime Rock Park circuit. It is very narrow, very treacherous, and it is the oldest continually used road racing circuit on the IMSA circuit. We asked Lynn St. James to give us a little driver's eye view of this historic race course. Let's take a look now at what Lynn had to show us.
Driving down the main straight at speeds in excess of 150 miles per hour, we're hard on the brakes at a downshift to third gear to take big bends. A wide, double apex, bumpy right-hand turn. Because it's wide, you'll see some passing here. Next is the only left turn at Lime Rock, which starts the S's. A left-right series of turns, now a quick shift to fourth gear, and down no-name straight, which as you can see, is no straight at all. A tap of the brakes and staying in fourth gear, we're now into the uphill climbing turn. It feels like we could do a somersault here, so it's a timed lift off the throttle to set the car, then back on the power smoothly for the back straight. Then into West Bend. And now the most important and fastest turn, the downhill driving turn. A quick shift to 5th gear, and we dance over the bumps and cover the 1.5 miles in only 46 seconds.
Woo! Thank you, Lynn. Well, as the cars warm up tires and engines, let's take a look at the way they'll line up for the start of today's race. On the pole, Chip Robinson in one of Al Holbert's Porsche 962 with Lowenbrow colors, alongside Hurley Haywood in that screaming 12-cylinder Jaguar. On row 2, Bryce Cobb will be on the inside in a Porsche he will share with James Weaver. On the outside, Scott Pruitt, Pete Halsmer will start the Ford Mustang. Moving to row 3, the winningest Porsche in IMSA history with 13 victories, the 5-time series champ Al Holbert. That's where he started from last year when he won, alongside Bob Lovenberg starting for Whitney Gantz in the Buick Hawk. On row 4 will be the pole car from last year, Rob Dyson, carrying our onboard ESPN camera. Alongside the pole sitter in Camel Lights, 4 wins in 6 races, Jeff Klein starting for Don Bell. Row 5 will have Jim Downing, the 2-time Camel Lights champion, sharing with Michael Greenfield today, alongside Jim Rothbarth starting for Charles Morgan in a Pontiac Fiero. Row 6 will have David Loring on the inside in a car he designed himself, Steve Phillips alongside in a Chevy-powered Tyga. The next row, 7, will see Steve Durst inside, Terry Lobel on the outside. Row 8 will have George Petrolek and Scott Schubert. Row 9, Grooms and Canizares, and we're underway here at Lime Rock. And immediately Al Holbert screams up to the second position at Big Bend and spins. Oh, my.
Amazing that everyone else got through there safely.
A bold move by 5-time series champion Al Holbert, hoping perhaps to win this race on the first turn, and he paid for it. Back underway, we're up to the point where Al Holbert's teammate Chip Robinson of the number 14 car is out in front with a healthy lead over Pete Halsmer in the normally aspirated Ford.
Stamos got a very good start there.
Yes, indeed. Moving up from the second row, Pete Halsmer. We see turbocharged power personified by Chip Robinson in this 3-liter Porsche 962. We're going to take another look at that start now and see if we can figure out what Al Holbert was trying to accomplish. Take a look, Lynn.
Well, it looks like he got really a clean shot on the inside going into Big Bend, but his brakes locked up. It looks like he might have had too much rear brake bias, possibly. The tires were cold in the back, but definitely the brakes locked up. Did an incredible job of spinning around, and everybody really did a great job of not hitting him. It's incredible that no one touched him.
Back underway, you see Chip Robinson with a healthy lead right now in the Porsche. Over, we've got an accident. We've got an accident that looks like the 00 car. That was our last starter. Lanny Drevich and Bob Ryan in a Buick-powered Argo, I just think. Oh, and that's one of the Fab cars, the Porsche-powered Camel Lights entry. I can't see the number on that car. It's got to be either the 42 car or the 43. The 42 car. Now you see back at the 00 machine. 00 is definitely the car that is out right now.
That car was that happened as you went onto the straightaway. So I don't know what caused it, but either he dropped a wheel there because you can very easily do that, but leading onto the straightaway.
And you see the driver getting out. That is Lanny Drevich from Alpharetta, Georgia, climbing out. He appears to be okay. Course workers motioning the rest of the field to stay to the outside. This is the fastest part of the race course, the front straightaway, the only part of the course where these cars will use their top gear, 5th gear, that will get them up to over 150 miles an hour or so. Now that, I believe, is that Chip Meade, having gotten out of the number 42 Lights car that he started. I don't recognize the helmet. I can't say for sure. If that is the second place runner in Camel Lights points. Now we're being told that is Chip Meade, who has just gotten out of the car, explaining or listening to a course worker explain what he saw happen. Chip obviously with a question. Now we're back in the 00 car. The driver hopping across the track with the help of the course workers, and he appears to be all right. But the pace car is on the track. Chip Robinson remains the leader, and we're getting tremendous action right here at the start of the Camel Grand Prix from Lime Rock Park. We'll be back to get the field sorted out, and we'll set the top runners for you when we come back to Lime Rock Park. You're watching live here on ESPN. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Down through the years, the big games, the special games, always seem to live on in your memory. The excitement of baseball. It doesn't end when the game ends, and neither does your need to know. That's why so many baseball fans read the Sporting News, America's sports authority for over 100 years. The Sporting News gives you complete, in-depth coverage by more than 40 staff writers reporting right from the scene of the action. The teams, the stars, the strategies, the stats and standings, the pulse-pounding play-by-play excitement. Everything you want, you'll find right here in the Sporting News. It's great reading, and now you can get in on a great half-price offer. Grab a pencil quick, and here's a friend with all the details.
Call now and get 40 issues of the Sporting News for 4 easy payments of $5.45. You'll also get special preview issues at no extra cost. So call now toll-free 1-800-592-6000. 1-800-592-6000.
ESPN is back live at Lime Rock Park. Sometime when you're out in the Toolies, you like to be introduced by another driver's name, which we did to you thinking you were Chip Meade. But Howard Cherry, what happened out there?
We broke a half shaft, which is basically the axle in the car, and that caused the car just to spin out of control into the wall. Real misfortune, but that's racing.
If you're okay, the car is damaged. We're back to racing again.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Gary. And you watched as Bryce Cobb put a devilish move there on Hurley Haywood to take over third place. Chip Robinson is your leader in the Porsche, followed by Pete Halsberg, pressing hard in that normally aspirated Ford. Bryce Cobb is third in the orange Porsche, number 18, right before your eyes. There's Hurley Haywood of the Jaguar. Carl Rob Dyson completes the top 5 in the number 16, our camera car. Top 3 cars, top 4 cars bunch it up as they head into the sharp right-hand uphill turn. At the top of that hill, then those cars can come right off the ground.
Boy, they can, and I really sense that Price is just walking that Mustang. He wants to buy that Mustang real badly. He tried to get it on the start, and I think you're going to see a passer real quick.
Up into 5th gear, we have a radar gun out here clocking top speeds for us. We'll try to give you some of those speeds as the day goes on. And there you see Bryce Cobb goes inside Pete Halsmer as the Ford bottoms out a little bit under braking. And Bryce Cobb completes the pass to move into second place.
Now, I've noticed that the Mustang probe is, there's sparks coming out every time they go down into turn 1 at Big Bend. I don't know if it's bottoming or whatever, but I watched it in the warm-up this morning and it was doing it, and it's still doing it, so I hope it doesn't affect the handling.
Well, we talked about turbocharged and normally aspirated cars. What we mean in terms of Porsche versus Ford there is a turbocharged 3-liter flat 6 Porsche engine capable of somewhere in the area of 725 to 750 horsepower, running against a 6.5-liter. That's about 387 cubic inches of fuel-injected Detroit iron, capable of probably 650.
Jack Roush has done a wonderful job of, through the GTO program of developing that engine, and I think it gets very, very good reliable horsepower.
Then again, we saw the sparks there as Pete Halsberg took that black Ford Mustang GTP car down into Big Bend, as it's known, a 180-degree right-hand turn. There's him making the only left-hander on the course, through the S's and up the short back straight, the swamp straight, some of the locals here call it, because of the wetlands out beyond that white Armco fence you see there.
They're running clean right now because they're still early in the race, and so the turbocharged still has a little bit of an advantage, where I think when they get into traffic, that's where you'll see the normally aspirated really lose zone.
I thought I saw Bryce Cobb just hop that orange Porsche a little bit as he pressed at the top of that hill. Try and look for that for the next time around. The Dyson team has struggled. This team is famous for making little aerodynamic changes to their car that make them stick very well, very sleek, but they haven't been able to solve the problem of that hill. Now we move back, and you see that Bob Lovenberg in the number 45 Buick Hawk smokes the tires a little bit in Big Bend, but he too has passed Hurley Haywood, and the Jaguar is making its way backward through the field at this moment.
Well, and Bob Lovenberg working his way back up, losing what he lost there on that pace lap spin, so he's probably got a little bit of retrieving that he feels inside that he's going to have to get going now.
The Buick, another example of the kinds of different sorts of engines you see in IMSA Camel GTP racing. That is a V6 power plant, turbocharged, capable, we are told, of 900 horsepower. This is a very special race for this car. California Electronics Company owner Bill Conkin has campaigned this car for several years on the IMSA circuit, and Bill is going to sell that team, we are told. We don't know to whom yet. We're simply told that Buick will remain in IMSA Camel GTP racing, but it will not be under the banner of Conkin Racing. Looks like the Buick is a little bit low in the right front corner there, maybe taking a little fiberglass damage. There you see Al Holbert battling with Hurley Haywood. Holbert, too, has been able to put that C12 Jaguar one spot further back. So that will move Haywood back to the 6th spot as Al Holbert assumes place number 5.
Al, of course, lost those positions with his little spin at the start, but he's also working his way back forward. And again, because they're running clean right now, the traffic isn't really an issue, but they're going to start lapping these cars pretty quickly. The Jaguar come back and show its own.
Now it's an example of just how short this racetrack is, our leaders are very shortly going to be coming up on slower traffic with Camel Lights cars behind, and we've had an engine problem. It looks like the number 9 car, that's a Mazda-powered Tiger Racer in the Camel Lights division, Terry Lobel, driving ahead of Bruce McGinnis, has got a problem.
Bob, that Buick Hawk, Bob Loganberg just got by the Mustang Probe, so it's really running very strongly right now, which is indicating because he's just passing everyone, and he got by the Mustang Probe.
And so the order continues to shuffle here as we've completed 20 laps here at Lime Rock. You're watching Al Holbert making his way around. Nobody does it better. And there you see the front wheels come right off the ground as Holbert pressed the hill.
Maybe all 4 came off the ground there for a second. It was,
A year ago in this race, we watched as another of the Lowenbrow Porsche drivers, Derek Bell, continually flew the number 1 Porsche off that jump. And here comes Bryce Cobb taking a shot at the first place car of Chip Robinson. But not this time.
Not this time, but he let him know that he's right there pressing. And I wouldn't be too surprised if we don't see that happen next time as they try to go down that straightaway.
On a short course like this, as you see the Camel Lights car, the red and yellow car there, making way for the faster, more powerful GTP cars to get through. You get some idea of the tremendous differential in speed between these cars. It's very important that the Camel Lights machines make way for the bigger Camel GTP cars while doing their own bit of racing amongst themselves. A race within a race here at Lime Rock. You're watching it live on ESPN as Chip Robinson continues to circulate down through 5th gear, flat out. The long right-hander and right to the edge of the track. Chip Robinson was putting wheels into the dirt at the edge of that racetrack during qualifying and had the crowd here at Lime Rock absolutely electrified. The pace is very quick in the early going. They're managing speeds in excess of 140 miles an hour down the front straightaway in our announce position.
He knows the ragged edge of that racetrack after doing it a few times in qualifying. So far, he can really let it stretch out.
Now, it looks like Chip is a little bit stymied there by the number 29 Camel Lights car. That's Ron Canizares and Bill Wolf piloting that car. Canizares behind the wheel right now. He's an interesting story. He runs a chain of restaurants in New York City. Like most New Yorkers, he doesn't own a car. Ron Canizares does his driving on weekends in a lot of high-speed traffic in race cars.
Ended up hurting the Buick Hawk a little more than the 2 lead cars got through pretty quickly, but the Buick Hawk got held up a little bit.
Traffic is much a part of this Lime Rock circuit as the bumps. As you see cars swinging to the left side, to the inside. Are they looking for a clean track there, Lynn? Or are they just looking for a way around traffic?
They're just looking to get a way around traffic. Unfortunately, it's so bumpy here on that 2,700-foot straightaway that it doesn't really matter too much if you're on the right or the left. It's bumpy everywhere, so it's just the best way to not have to lose any time to be able to make a clean pass, just to get well out of the way of the light cars and get by as many of them on the straightaway as we can.
There's the Canizares. That's a Buick-powered Taiga car. We mentioned earlier there was a Mazda Taiga out here. Such a diversity of chassis and engines in Camel Lights competition, as there are throughout the GTP ranks in IMSA. Ron Canizares making his way up the hill. Well back in the Camel Lights standing right now, but 150 laps, just about 230 miles here at Lime Rock is a very long race. Not very long in distance, tremendously punishing on the drivers. Back up front, Bryce Cobb takes a look around the outside this time at Chip Robinson. And Lynn, I agree with you. I think Bryce is just shadowing Chip.
He really is, and really, right now, the quickest car on the racetrack, though, is the Buick Hawk, Loganberg. So the 2 of them they're really pressing, and of course, traffic is going to become something they have to deal with here that's going to hold them back.
There is the number 45 Buick Hawk, Bob Lowenberg, hoping to make it a tremendous finale for Conti Racing. A little bit of a dip to the right front there. I don't think that car is quite right in terms of aerodynamics. But Bob Lowenberg, who has driven all kinds of cars. You see there, a former amateur national champion who's driven in the Pro Trans Am series for sedans. And he's a man who can get it done in just about every kind of machinery you can name. Here are the leaders overtaking some of the slower cars around the back. Not slower cars. Let me take that back. There you see the red number 63 of the 2-time Camel Lights champion, Jim Downing. And we understand that Al Holbert is now closing up, and we could see a tremendous dice here in heavy traffic. Very shortly, our leader, Chip Robinson, will be catching the Camel Lights leader, Don Bell, I have a feeling, or Jeff Klein driving with Don Bell today. Klein behind the wheel right now. There is Al Holbert. Moving up well through traffic as Al Holbert closes up on Bob Lowenberg.
We're talking about Bob Lowenberg, who's doing an excellent job, but, I don't think he's driven for a while. I'm not sure what, he has not been with this team in a while, even though he's driven the car before, so he kind of came out of a cold seat, probably not being in a race car for a while. I think this is his home track, but he's certainly doing an excellent job.
Now, as I mentioned, Al Holbert is the director of Porsche Motorsports North America. He also has his own race team to manage, and in this case, 2 race cars to manage among 3 drivers. We asked him about wearing so many hats.
Well, for sure, it is a lot different. Probably somewhat because of the competition this year with the other makes are more competitive, plus trying to administer another driver all the time in a different car. You know, that's difficult. And Chip's new. I mean, Derek and I had a 2-year track record already going into last year, and Chip's all new, and it's a new car for him. So, yeah, I've got enough on my plate.
And as if Al Holbert didn't have enough on his plate, he is also directing Porsche's nascent IndyCar team. Expect to see a Porsche running the IndyCar races on the car series. You'll see plenty of that right here on ESPN. And expect to see a Porsche running with the Marches and Lolas in IndyCar racing. As we watch Al Holbert circulate, pleasantly shown in 4th position on the racetrack. Behind Chip Robinson in his team car, the number 14 Porsche. Bryce Cobb in 2nd place. 3rd is Bob Lovenberg in the Buick. Al Holbert 4th. 5th is the Ford with Pete Halsber at the wheel. 6th, the Jaguar. 7th, Rob Dyson, the other Dyson Racing Porsche. 8th is the number 70 Camel Lights car, the Lights leader. That is David Loring in a car of his own design and construction. 01, a Lights car of Jeff Klein, is running in 9th position. And the number 73 machine of Steve Phillips and Howard Katz runs 10th.
Bob Strange, B.F. Goodrich test engineer.
All week long, I test tires. But on weekends, I drive race cars. In some ways, tire testing is just as tough. Comparing one tire with another takes precision driving. I believe TA Radios are the best performance tires in the world. And I punish them to keep them that way.
TA Radios of B.F. Goodrich. Tested tough to make your car perform.
Formula One, Indy, NASCAR, IMSA. Nobody takes you inside like Auto Week. On the track, behind the scenes, with columnists who race and win. Auto Week gives you the fastest, most accurate racing coverage every week. Just days after the checkered flag drops. Nobody takes you inside street cars like Auto Week. Sports cars, classics, 4x4s, vans, performance sedans. Auto Week makes you an insider with personalities, classic cars, industry news, columnists. Now you can become an insider by calling 1-800-554-3000 to get Auto Week at the lowest price ever. Just $17.25 for 52 issues, only 33 cents a week. Save 25% off the basic rate. Call 1-800-554-3000. Operators are standing by. Start Auto Week racing to you today.
It's the first major race for 3-year-olds after the Triple Crown. Saturday, they'll be off and running in the $250,000 Ohio Derby. Live at 5 Eastern, Saturday on ESPN.
8 is enough. Find out why, starting June 20th, live on ESPN.
Back live at Lime Rock with the Lime Rock Camel Grand Prix, and you're watching the number 14 Porsche of our leader Chip Robinson making his way through the S-turns, and you'll see behind him the orange Porsche. That is Bryce Cobb running in 2nd position. 3rd is Al Holbert. 4th is Pete Halsber in the Ford. 5th is the Buick Hawk of Bob Lovenberg and Whitney Gantz. Rob Dyson in the number 16 Porsche has been lapped by our leader Chip Robinson. There's a good shot up the hill as we watch the cars making their way up. If you're with us moments ago, you saw Al Holbert take a tremendous leap in his Porsche as he got a little too much power into those rear wheels. Now, as we watch our leaders make their way down the front straightaway, we're going to put our radar gun on them and see if we can get some idea of the speed. 152 miles an hour, we're told. 157 for Bryce Cobb, running down Chip Robinson. So obviously Bryce having a little bit of a speed advantage at this point. Easily over 150 miles an hour, all of the top GTP cars in this race.
During qualifying, I think we had 161, so they're running just a few miles per hour less than they were top speed in the qualifying conditions.
There you watch Bryce Cobb continuing to circulate down the backstretch. They call it a straightaway, as Lynn pointed out. It's obviously not. Bryce Cobb heads up the hill. He will overtake a Camel Lights competitor. and maintain the pace. Now we have our first pit stop of the day, the Jaguar. Now this is a surprise. The Jaguar is into the pits. This is supposed to be the mileage king of Camel GT racing. This is very much a surprise to see the Jaguar in first. I think Gary Lee is down along pit road. Gary, have you got anything there?
Well, in fact, it is a very early pit stop for the Jag. We have noted all season long the great fuel economy for the Group 44. They changed all 4 tires. We had talked to Bob Coolius as the Jag was dropping back, and we said, is there a problem? He said, no, there is no problem. We have to go the distance, finish the race before we can win it. They were just pacing themselves, and now we'll check back and see if in fact there was a problem. Bob, why the early stop?
He had a flat tire, but it doesn't appear as though at that point there is one, so I don't know what it is.
So, Hurley will go back out and see if perhaps he can determine exactly what that handling problem may be, since apparently it's not a flat tire.
Okay, thank you, Gary. Keep in mind, it takes about 47 seconds for these big GT prototype machines to make their way around this 1.5-mile circuit, so any kind of a pit stop, Lynn, is going to hurt you.
Well, it is, but the Jaguar has been bothering me this race because I just did a clock on him just before he came in, 51 seconds a lap. That's about 5 seconds off what they qualified at. And I mean, the leader's running about 48 seconds a lap, and so, which is only about 1.5 to 2 seconds off of what they qualified. So the Jaguar just doesn't seem to be running as strong as we had anticipated. Maybe they are having a problem, and maybe a new set of tires will solve it.
There you see, through our speed trap, Hurley Haywood of the Jaguar is able to make only about 129 miles an hour at full song. So there is definitely not a placid setup in that Jaguar.
30 miles an hour is a lot not to have.
It's a big speed differential. Now we're told that Al Holbert is making his way through the pack once again. The master of tight battles. You watch Chip Robinson there. Robinson is the leader. He's the guy that Al Holbert is going to try to hunt down. And it could be interesting if Al Holbert is able to overtake his teammate Chip Robinson. Robinson presently leads in Camel GT driver points towards the rich year-end driver bonus pool. Al Holbert has won it 5 times. Al says he's not going to drive every race this year, so he himself does not have a shot at that driver bonus. Will he just get up there and run in formation with Chip Robinson and allow Chip to maybe fatten up that lead in driver points? We'll have to wait and see when Al Holbert overtakes his teammate if he can. Robinson swings onto the front straightaway. We're going to take a lap time. We'll follow Chip Robinson around and just see how fast our leader is going. There he is at the start-finish line through Big Bend.
The number 14 car is their baseline car. That car is a tried-and-true piece of equipment. The team knows what it can do. They really are going for the points championship. They want Chip to win it. So not a lot of unknown quantity here from the team standpoint.
How about his line, Lynn? How's he looking as he makes his way around a clean track?
Well, he's doing an excellent job. The car is working well. He's not getting airborne under there as his teammate was. He's drifting the car just the right amount. He's not burning the tires up, you know, with some very spectacular-looking driving. At the same time, you can tell he's still driving very, very clean.
There's a saying in stock car racing that you have to have a car a little bit loose in order to be able to drive it fast. There was the lap time, 47.8. Make a note of it, and we'll take a look at Chip Robinson's teammate Al Holbert, and we'll try to clock him. 47.8 is the time Chip Robinson maintaining at this point. There you watch Bryce Cobb making his way around in second place. Bryce Cobb is going to be watching in his mirrors very shortly because Al Holbert is closing up very fast in third place. 962s from Porsche in Germany have dominated this series. In 1984, they won 15 of the 16 races on the Camel GT Series. Now they are being challenged. Buick is there, Chevrolet, Ford. Although the Chevy Corvette that we've seen in earlier ESPN telecasts, we haven't had a chance to see today. They're testing that car, and they expect to be back on the circuit starting a week from now in Mid-Ohio. Meanwhile, Al Holbert, the number 1 Lowenbrow Porsche, makes his way down the front straight. Let's see if we can put a clock on his lap. Here we go. Whoa, watch the suspensions work. Very bumpy racetrack here in Lime Rock. What does that do to you as a driver, Lynn, when you take that kind of a beating?
It is really brutal because what happens is that the suspension is still so stiff and the travel is so short that the driver actually gets the transfer of all that energy. You feel it in your arms and you feel it right through the wheel. Even though, as I said, something has to give, and it seems to be your arms are where you finally end up carrying all that load.
I would think it would just rattle your teeth because those suspensions are so stiff. You see Al Holbert clipping the curb there. That's not going to help him either. Here he comes. Remember, Chip Robinson, his teammate, managed a 47.8. Al Holbert has had one clean lap, and he clocks 47.9. Well,
I'd say they're right, very close, very, very close. You notice as he came down that straightaway, he did go a little bit to the right. The track is a little bit bumpier out there on the left, so I noticed that when he has a clean lap, that he goes over to the right as well. So that's definitely a little smoother out there.
Let's give you an idea of just how fast Al Holbert, Chip Robinson, and the rest of the front runners are moving here. You saw a 47.8 from Robinson, a 47.9 from Holbert. Al Holbert qualified that car at 47.4, so he is running within a half second of his best time at 115.2 miles an hour. Let's go down to the pits now, and Marty.
Bob, you hear us talking all the time down here in the pits about the window. That's the area where the cars can begin to come in for that one and only stop. Well, one team has told us they will make definitely 2 stops is the Buick team, the Conti, number 45, right now out on the track with Bob Lobenberg. But fuel may not be the deciding factor in this race. Gary Lee has that story.
Always here at Lime Rock, there is grave concern over tire wear. In fact, it's a very rough, very abusive, abrasive track. It is predominantly right-hand turns, which makes a lot of wear and tear on the left side tires. However, it is very cool today, and that prolonged yellow we had early might enable some teams to go the distance without changing the right side tires. But as Al Holbert said this morning, it takes just as long to change all 4 as it does to change 2 when we're topping off the fuel. This, however, may be the sign of a well-prepared team. These are the Goodyear Gatorback rain tires. We are in the Al Holbert Lowenbrow team pit area, and although there was only a slight chance of rain today, it has been overcast, and most of the teams do have the rain tires standing by just in case they need them.
Okay, you're watching the battle for the lead now in Camel Lights. David Loring up front in the car he designed and built himself, using parts from Mazda for the engine, Lancia for the chassis, and he's got parts from a lot of other different makes there. And David Loring hoping to run this race non-stop by himself. Well, not non-stop, he's going to stop for fuel, but he wants to go the whole way. If he can do that, that will repeat the feat that he accomplished last year when he ran the whole race alone. And at one point in that race, the compression of a passenger car literally blew the windshield out of his previous Denali racer. David said afterwards, hey, that was great. It was so warm in there, I could use the extra air. So air blowing in at 140 miles an hour is certainly going to cool you down.
I'm surprised how close the 2 are still running. They are distinctly different types of cars. One is powered with a Pontiac engine, the other is a Mazda engine. They have different horsepower and different torque curves, and yet they are just running consistently right together. As they go through traffic, it's almost like they got a hook on each other. And I don't know if Don Bell's just decided to follow them or if he's really going to push and try to contend.
Well, right now, the 01 car, I believe that's Jeff Klein started the car and is still in it at this point. Don Bell, who has won 4 out of 6 races this year, will hop in later and will try to overtake David Loring. But right now, you've got to think the crowd is going for the local favorite, David Loring, with the number 70, Mazda Denali. We'll be back to Lime Rock live here on ESPN. Don't go away.
Heaven on earth. Don't get him started about his car.
Hey, Pete, toss me the Quaker Steak. This new Quaker Steak with QSX is a miracle. It gives car-carrying people superior engine protection.
Look at the sludge other leading motor oils leave behind. New Quaker State with QSX keeps your engine cleaner to last longer.
And that means I might spend the rest of my life in heaven.
Warned you.
Now reach for the best and grab a bargain. Save $3.60 on a case of new Quaker State.
We test tires in this lab, but we don't really know how a TA radio will perform until we get it here. I believe TA radios are the best performance tires in the world, and I drive them into the ground to keep them that way.
TA radios from BF Goodrich. Tested tough to make your car perform.
Back at Lime Rock, Chip Robinson in the leading Porsche 962, number 14. Hot over the back of the hill. Down what they call the back straight here. Now into the diving right-hand turn onto the front straightaway. Just up the fifth gear, reaches speed in excess of 150 miles an hour. There's the Jaguar of Hurley Haywood, the number 44 car, hoping to stave off the leader and avoid going lap down. Chip Robinson moves it for the kill, and right behind him, that orange and white number 18. That is Bryce Cobb out of Evergreen, Colorado. The gap between first and second is about a car length, and just a couple of car lengths back is the number 1 Porsche, nearly identical to this number 14. Al Holbert wants to close in on the lead as well. So we can see a 3-way fight for the lead in just a couple of laps here at Lime Rock.
Seems like going through all that traffic, they got really kind of got apart from each other, and now they've really got all within sight, all very close. So we might have somebody contending for a lead here in another lap or two.
Chip Robinson has been our leader from the throw of the green flag here, at which point his teammate Al Holbert spun out while trying to get up from his fifth starting spot up to the lead. Holbert lost a couple of places and has been working his way back ever since. On that first lap, we had a couple of crashes that took out 2 cars from the Camel Lights class. 20 cars are still in the race. We're watching as Bryce Cobb closes in on Chip Robinson, hoping to wrest away the lead. Great battling all around this 1.5-mile race course. There you see Bryce Cobb beginning to close in. Bryce would love to win this race. He was second last year, co-driving with Ray Golson out of Connecticut. They finished second to Al Holbert, who drove that race solo. There's been so much give and take as you see Robinson bring the front wheels up, Lynn, in a passing situation like this when you're trying to lead somebody. Is that a matter of just too much gas pedal?
Well, it could also mean that the air was a bit disturbed from the Jaguar. I don't know whether that could have affected it, because he's not just passing a light car, it's equal horsepower there. He may have been trying to get a little bit of a kick off of that turn and just, again, got a little bit too much torque.
Here we go once again as Jim Robinson is able to put the pass on the Jaguar, and Hurley Haywood stays wide to let the leaders come through.
Much as he didn't want to do that, I can tell you he did not want to do that, but he knows that's right. You've got to, because if his car's not running well today, he's going to out there and race to do the best job he can, but he's got to let the leaders go by.
Give credit to Hurley Haywood out of Florida, who will join Bryce Cobb, Chip Robinson, Al Holbert, and a number of drivers in the IMSA Cameron Series next month at Le Mans in France, driving the 24 hours for some of the great European teams.
And we're getting obviously a very close, tight race here, and yet we're also getting close to the halfway point. And we're getting to the point where somebody may have to make a pit stop. That's become part of the strategy here.
We have already seen the Jaguar stop once. Now, here is the look from inside Rob Dyson's car as the leaders come racing by. Chip Robinson in first, Bryce Cobb second, and the number 16 car of Rob Dyson has put 2 laps down.
This is nose-to-tail racing for sure. You know, I was talking to Price before the race, and I mean, he said he was really looking forward to having a good race here because the times were so close and the track is so short that he just knew this was going to be a good race. I mean, not just a matter of going out there and finishing.
Gary Lee is standing by on pit road. What have you got for us, Gary?
Well, I was wondering if there was a pecking order for the Chip Robinson, Al Holbert team. In fact, the crew said they had planned to stop about lap 180, or lap 80, that is. But with that prolonged yellow, they're saying now they may go as late as lap 85 or 88. They will go on one stop. The question is, which car stops first? Well, the leader has his pick. Right now, Chip can determine when he wants to come in, and then Al would have to wait until his service is done on Chip's car. It will be, at this point, a 4-tire change and top up the fuel. So let's look for the leader to stop about lap 85.
Okay, Gary, thank you. We'll be watching for that. We speculated a little bit earlier. Would Al Holbert defer to his teammate, Chip Robinson? Then I'm going to make a guess. I don't think Al's going to. He wants to win races. He is already the winningest driver in Camel GT history. Whoa, there's the 09 car of Steve Durst. I told you earlier they've been having problems all weekend trying to get that car together after a huge crash in practice. There's wet grass out there, and as you can see, it doesn't do much for the traction of that Pontiac Fiero. We'll have a replay of what happened. Here it is under braking in Big Bend.
Whoa. Looks like he locked up some tires for sure. And just went straight. I mean, that doesn't make any sense at all. I mean, he had some rear tires lock up for sure. He'd gotten off the brakes a little bit. I think he might have been able to get around the corner. Maybe he got disoriented because there were also a lot of other cars.
And when you lock them up, I guess you got nowhere to go but straight. You sure can't steer. Great Dyson traffic here now as Chip Robinson continues to hold Bryce Cobb off, and Bryce got the wheels off on the left side of the track there to try to avoid the slower traffic. Now Al Holbert has a shot at him. This could become a 1-2 order of running for the Holbert team out of Warrington, Pennsylvania. Chip Robinson with the blue-eyed Porsche up front. Next comes the white car of Al Holbert. Behind Porsche of Bryce Cobb. Porsche's running in the top 3 positions now as we approach the halfway mark here in Lime Rock. And here's Al Holbert going underneath Bryce Cobb, just getting a look, but no. That is Al Holbert's favorite pass here at Lime Rock. We were here last year live on ESPN. Al Holbert passed Drake Olson, Bryce Cobb's teammate, with exactly that move in Big Bend.
I just noticed that Price's car just had a little bit loose coming out of that turn, so I don't know what tire wear might be right now, but with Holbert pressing him, obviously he's not able to do any strategy right now and back off. He's having to run very hard, but his car seems to be getting a little bit loose. That may affect the handling and his ability to be able to stay ahead of Al.
Right now, Bryce Cobb opens up a couple of car lengths on Al Holbert, and in all deference to the master of the short track course of racing, Al Holbert may be just trying to stay in the windows of, in Bryce Cobb's mirrors in order to take the heat off Chip Robinson up front. Now the 45 Buick Hawk has pitted. We've got to pit, and Al Holbert is able to make the pass on Bryce Cobb. I told you that was his favorite spot, Lynn.
It is. It's also really one of the best spots to make a pass here. If you can't get him on the straightaway, get him going into Big Bend. And I think Al Holbert wanted that position. Like you say, now we've got low cars running 1-2.
Al Holbert races away. There is the number 45 Buick Hawk, the RC Cola car. Let's go down to Marty Reed.
Well, Bob Lobenberg has climbed out of the car. Whitney Gans is climbing in. They are making a 4-tire change. This has been a very long stop so far. We were told you when we came down here just a few seconds ago talking about fuel that the Conti Racing team definitely would have to make 2 stops. They are now the first team to schedule a stop here, and to do it under the green, once you come in, decelerate, stop, make the complete change, and re-accelerate. They say here there's no way that you're going to keep on the same lap, so they're probably going to go down a lap.
And in fact, they have gone down a lap as Al Holbert puts the same pass on his teammate, Chip Robinson. Not only did I tell you it was his favorite spot, Lynn, I told you that Al wasn't going to let Chip stay up front. There you go. Al Holbert is your new leader. Chip Robinson has led for nearly 70 laps. We'll take a look at a replay of the pass for you now. And whoa, as Bryce Cobb gets up close to Chip Robinson, let's see how Al did it.
Well, you knew that they all had to go over to the right side of that straightaway because of all the light cars. And I just think Chip maybe be caught unawares there. You know, he went right, thought he had a clean move, and Al was almost on the inside, almost off the track on the inside, and decided he was going for that pass.
Bold move as Al Holbert, in addition to all of his duties for Porsche Motorsport, in IndyCar programs, Trans Am, amateur racing, and Camel GTP, is also our leader here in Lime Rock at the Camel Grand Prix.
It looks like we have Bryce Cobb also just being passed by,
Chip Robinson.
By Chip Robinson.
Bryce Cobb now running in 3rd place behind the twin Porsches of Al Holbert and Chip Robinson. I shouldn't call them twin Porsches. They are somewhat mechanically different as Al Holbert's driving what he calls a emerging development car, Lynn, with a few little extra tricks on it as Al Holbert seeks to keep Porsches atop the winners list for Camel GT Racing. But Al Holbert is your leader, Chip Robinson 2nd, and the Porsche of Bryce Cobb is running 3rd. A Porsche parade here at Lime Rock, Connecticut.
This sports challenge is brought to you by Cruex, the #1 cure for jock itch. It hurts when you miss, especially when you're Arnold Palmer, because when that short iron shot flies across the green and into the rough, the pain is measured in dollars. The Cruex challenge? Which Grand Slam tournament did Palmer lose on the final hole with a double bogey 6 in 1961?
My name is Jiffy Jeff. What? You know, the most important thing in boxing is to never get caught with your gloves down. There are only 2 things to bring them down: fatigue and jock itch. It's.
Don't let jock itch hit you below the belt. Fight back with Cruex. Cruex kills jock itch fungus and helps stop painful burning, itching, and irritation.
Time out. I got an itch.
Cruex, the #1 cure for jock itch.
Arnold Palmer's 3rd shot on the final hole of the 1961 Masters sails across the green, but he can still tie with a bogey if he gets this chip shot close. But it's long. Now he must make this putt to tie Gary Player, who thought he was out of it. Palmer misses. A double bogey 6 for Arnold Palmer as he loses the 61 Masters to Gary Player.
Time for an oil change, but we're not using your Quaker State. We're switching to something better. New Quaker State with QSX.
Introducing new Quaker State with QSX because car-carrying people want superior engine protection. Look at the sludge other leading motor oils leave behind. New Quaker State with QSX keeps your engine cleaner to last longer.
I knew you'd like it. Ready? Hey, no.
Now reach for the best and grab a bargain. Save $3.60 on a case of new Quaker State.
There have been lots of developments while you were away. We're live here at Lime Rock where Bryce Cobb has overtaken Jim Robinson for second place behind Al Holbert. 71 laps are complete in this 150-lap event. Only 4 cars remain on the lead lap. Al Holbert's your leader, Bryce Cobb in second, Chip Robinson running third, and the number 4 car of Pete Hallsberg in fourth position as we watch Bryce Cobb driving that car 10/10, as the drivers say, right to the edge of the racetrack, getting everything out of it that he possibly can. I'm wondering if there's anything wrong with Chip Holbert's car, Chip Robinson's car, Lynn. He is dropping back pretty quickly.
I'm wondering the same thing, and I know that the past problems they've had is that the longer they're into the race, the longer the stint, whether it's a tire problem or whether it's a turbocharger problem or an engine problem, that the car just seems to lose some RPMs. That's what happened at Riverside, so I hope they aren't having a problem here.
Now we're also told that Al Holbert, as the leader, will be the first of the Lowenbrow Porsches to pit, and we expect that to happen fairly shortly. We're past the 70-lap mark, and that's when we expected to see the pits start. Now remember, we had that long caution right at the start of the race, so 14 laps run under caution due to a couple of crashes on the first lap of the race, so these cars can run a little farther. But whoa, and the 09 car. What a day for Steve Durst and Mike Brockman, and you see what that long grass does. And we've got flames underneath the Buick. Bob Lowenberg, Whitney Gantz now driving that car after Bob Lowenberg stepped out, and there is a fire.
It's a good thing that we've got wet grass under there. That'll help at least contain it a little bit.
And Whitney Gantz is apparently still in the car, and he's going to try to drive it out.
May not know that it's...
Oh, this could be dangerous indeed. You see fire bottles being run out by the volunteers. The
corner workers
trying
to tell them that the car was on fire.
I don't see the flames now as Whitney Gantz tries to get it straightened out and get back safely on the racetrack.
It could have been some backfire from the turbocharger that maybe, you know, but the wires and everything else under there would have definitely gotten some flames and scorched and burned. But I hope he comes back into the pits.
Well, they carry onboard extinguishers in these cars, so if Whitney Gantz thought he was in a serious situation or if he saw a fire, he could always hit that button and get himself some extra seconds to get out of that car. Right now, I see no sign of the flames. Certainly some dirty body work at the business end of that Buick Hawk. Whitney Gantz will make his way around. We'll check and see if officials are going to black flag him for a problem. He'll make the downhill right-hand turn onto the straightaway, and we'll see if the officials are going to let him stay on the racetrack. They might just take a look at him and see if he looks all right. Down the front straight, here he comes. And it looks like Whitney Gantz will be allowed to continue the race. Oh, what a career it's been for Phil Conti's Buick team.
Well, I'm surprised it's continued to run, but I'm wondering if it's going to develop a problem later. It's something I would think had to be damaged under there.
Okay, we're back with the leader, Al Holbert. We saw the 09 car go through a spin a little bit earlier, and Robinson is in the pits. Well, make a liar out of me, Chip. Let's go down to Gary Lee in the Lowenbrow pits.
Well, obviously, this deviates from the pit strategy. They had said the leading Porsche 962 of the Lowenbrow team would come in first. That is not Chip now. Chip may have had some handling problem with the tires. When I asked what the problem was, I was told it's just time for a pit stop. But again, they're changing 4 tires and topping off the fuel. But this was not the pit strategy during the competition. He comes in before the leading car of Al Holbert.
All right, 24.3 seconds for Chip Robinson. Well, that was a very, very quick stop for that Porsche team. Cars are beginning to make their way into the pits one at a time. Chip Robinson will not lose the lap, and that is very important on this tight Lime Rock circuit.
We should try to get a lap time on him as soon as we can. I have to see that maybe the tires were the issue, and he would get everything back that it wasn't engine related. He could be able to turn those top speeds again.
A little bit of puffs of smoke out of Chip Robinson's car. They may have added a little turbocharger to that, which is causing the extra smoke. Now the Ford is coming in, and it's showing some body damage.
They broke some suspension pieces. The same thing that broke at Riverside broke again here earlier this week when they were doing some testing, and it was the I think it was the rear suspension. So
You can see up there near the front left tire as the man struggles to get the tire up under the bash bodywork, the front end. We can't tell whether Pete Halsmer hit something or something. Now the nose comes off, and it looks like they're going to put on a new nose. That's going to take some extra time. You can see Halsmer in the white helmet is out of the car. Scott Pruitt is in. They're going to go through a little cosmetic change here. They need those aerodynamics. A new one is snapped into place. Boy, easy as that. And the Jack Roush team has Scott Pruitt back out on the racetrack.
That was a pretty quick stop, even though they had to change the bodywork.
So Scott Pruitt, try to get a lap time on him as soon as possible as he'll fire up those fresh tires and get that big 6.5-liter Ford engine up to speed. Scott Pruitt out of Roseville, California. Now you see the number 14 car. This is Chip Robinson. He has already made his pit stop. We'll be checking very carefully. Only one stop expected for all the Buick teams. We did see the Jaguar come in a little bit early. They may need a second stop today. But the pit strategy is going to be very, very simple here. Get it in, get it out with a fresh load of gas and tires, get it going. Looks like Al Holbert has picked up a piece of this Connecticut greenery here attached to the front end of his wing. Looks like he carved a divot out of somewhere. Doesn't look like mechanical damage. I think that's a piece of flora.
We're waiting for it to come up on this.
Now, Al Holbert is expected to pit very shortly as soon as his team has got the pits prepared. They've already done the service work on Chip Robinson. There is Robinson. Coming up the hill just behind him is Al Holbert. There you see Holbert making his way down the backstretch, down the downhill right-hander, up the straightaway where he'll come up into fifth gear unless he intends to pit. No, not just yet. And you see him moving right up on Chip Robinson, and Al Holbert takes an outside line. Will he pass? No. There is Bryce Cobb making his one required pit stop. Will he stay in the car or let James Weaver in? Let's go down to Marty Reed.
Okay, Bob, they're going to make a complete four-tire change, and so far everything seems to be going very smoothly. 30 gallons of fuel going into the tank. Price keeping the motor running. Of course, no driver change. Price is going to go the distance today by himself. By our clock, we've got it up to about 20 seconds. Now, if I remember correctly, it's about 24 seconds, the magic number. They've just passed that mark, so they're going to lose a little more time. The green flags have been a nightmare for all these teams. They were hoping for a yellow to do all this work, but everybody's coming in under the green. Bryce Cobb, the jack stays up. They've got a jack problem, and he's scraping the track as he goes out.
Well, Bryce Cobb pulls directly onto the racetrack alongside the leader, Al Holbert. He does not lose the lap. Let me double check that. No, I think he did. I think Al Holbert got by, and Bryce Cobb has got himself a lap down. And Lynn, I guess you'd have to say it all happened in the pits.
That's right. You know, this pit work is so critical, and they've had a little bit of a problem. It seemed like it took an awful long time for the fuel to go in, and that doesn't make sense at all. So something went awry, and that, boy, it hurts. You can drive your heart out on the racetrack, and you can't make up those precious seconds you lose in the pits.
Gary Lee or Marty Reed, if you're down there, if we'd get some word from crew chief Pat Smith as to what took so long with Bryce Cobb stop, maybe we'll have an insert. Oh, and now we've got an accident. We've got a car, a Camel Lights car, it looks like, is into the dirt embankment up there near the spectator fencing. It doesn't look like anybody other than the car was involved. That long camera shot might make it look as though it was in a pretty precarious position, but it looks like he is just flat off the racetrack. See if we can get a look at the number on that car. That might be the number 36 car of Frank Jelinek and John Grooms. Let's take a look, if we can, just at the left side of your screen. Now, there you see the bodywork come flying off that car. Wow. That's a close call.
That is amazing. It looked like it actually, like the car had gone into where the crowd was, but obviously, fortunately, that didn't happen.
Another good thing about this Lime Rock racecourse is very long runoff areas, a lot of grass. Yep, John Grooms and Frank Jelinek. Grooms had started the car, didn't make his pit stop, and now he never will. That car took a tremendous leap over a little bit of a gully there, and he is out of the race. So you watch as the leader, Al Holbert, who has still to pit in this 150-lap race. Right now, I'd say Al Holbert is really putting himself in the catbird seat. He is out front getting great fuel mileage, and if his team can deliver a quick pit stop, Al Holbert may have this race very much in hand. 47 victories for the winningest driver in Camel GT victory, looking for his 48th today. We are past the halfway mark. In fact, we are 80 laps, 70 laps remain on this 1.5 mile circuit. The average speed of 97.9 miles an hour is beginning to creep up again after that long caution flag at the beginning of the race. That was the only caution thus far. We are now approaching the race record of 99 miles per hour. That set last year by Al Holbert in the car being driven today by Chip Robinson. A little bit of dirt there in the air as one of the competitors put a wheel off as Al Holbert circulates underneath the car of Tim McAdam and Chip Meade in the Camel Lights category. We have Gary Lee with a comment now from Al Holbert's pit.
When we talk about pit strategy and how the race can dictate that strategy, right now with Holbert leading, we talked with the crew, and they're going to wait for the fuel light to come on board. They have about a 3-gallon reserve. They say they can go about 2 laps once the light goes on. So either the fuel or tire wear could dictate when Al makes his stop. Right now, he's happy with the handling of the car. Apparently, they will not change the chassis any when they put the new tires on. So at this point, we'll wait for that fuel light to come on. It may take 1 lap and then come in. So we're standing by waiting for the pit stop for the leader, Al Holbert.
Okay, thank you, Gary, and we'll watch. 1 and 14, Al Holbert and Chip Robinson are the only cars on the lead lap at this point. So you've seen that in a matter of a few laps, the Holbert Porsche team has been able to dominate this race. A slow pit stop by Price Cobb took him out of the running. Rob Dyson, his teammate, was caught and passed a little bit earlier in the race. The Ford team took a long stop. Right now, it looks like nobody is going to be able to challenge the blue and white Lowenbrow Porsches of Al Holbert and Chip Robinson. Lynn is busy with her stopwatch here. What kind of lap times are we getting?
That was a 48.8 on the number 14 on Chip.
So he's knocked about a second off his time. He's running about a second slower than he was earlier in the race.
Exactly, about a second slower than he was earlier in the race. So, but he's, you know, he and Al are running obviously the very same lap time right now because they're running right next to each other, even though Al's not really a lap ahead, but they're
Let me put you on the
figure
spot
that
here.
out. What do you do?
Be a team manager. What do you do now? Hit cruise control with these front-running Porsches, or do you let them duke it out?
I think they're duking it out. I really do. I think that, you know, Al Holbert is developing a new car, as I mentioned. That's the research and development car. He's going to go all out at it. He's not going to run for the championship right now. That's the role that Chip Robinson is in, to go for the championship. And he's now into the pits. And when you're team manager, Al Holbert makes that decision.
Al Holbert's in the pits. Let's go to Gary Lee.
Well, we saw a piece of fiberglass come rolling off the front of that car when he came to a stop. It will be a Ford tire change. So we waited for Al's light to come on in the cockpit. It came on. He called in. He said, I'm coming in this time. And here he is, Al Holbert, the Lowenbrow crew, going to work on this Porsche 962, the winningest car in IMSA history. 13 wins for this car number 1. Al Holbert waiting for the service to be completed. The car off to Jackson. He is underway.
26.2. Certainly as quick a pit stop as Al Holbert ever needed to maintain the lead. And he is out clean, back on the racetrack, back into action. That should be all he will need to maintain the lead. Now, stay with us, folks. Lots of action still to come. You're watching live on ESPN. The Lime Rock Camel Grand Prix. 150 laps of racing around one of America's most beautiful race courses. The weather is beginning to lighten up, and with it, it is going to get much, much hotter as the day goes on. We expect temperatures up in the 70s. To tell you a little bit more now about IMSA Camel GT racing, we'd like to present you with a track fact. ESPN and the International Motorsports Association presents a track fact. Brought to you by Quaker State Motor Oil. New Quaker State with QSX keeps your engine cleaner to last longer.
Have you ever wondered why the GTP and Camel Light cars are all right-hand drive? Well, originally, these chassis were all designed and built in England, and the tracks run in a clockwise direction. But there's also a technical reason why they remain on the right-hand side, and it's right here. This transmission lever, going back to the gearbox, it's the most direct route, fewer parts to go wrong. There's one other thing you might be interested in. Next year, IMSA is going to require all these cars to have passenger seats. Anybody want to go for a ride?
I do, Marty. We'll be back for more live coverage of the IMSA Lime Rock Camel Grand Prix from Lime Rock Park after this.
Washing the car, cleaning the windows. There are always dozens of outdoor cleanup jobs to do.
Well, throw away that sponge, toss out that pail of soapy water, and say hello to Swirl On 2, the scrubber brusher with new Jet Blaster Power Cleaner. Attach Swirl On to your garden hose. Ordinary water pressure drives the brushes in a powerful rotating action that scrubs away dirt and grime, makes outdoor cleanups almost fun. Switch heads to the powerful Jet Blaster and hold on. Your garden hose is like a cleaning machine gun that blasts away stubborn mud and road grime. The gentle fanning tip gives the high-pressure nozzle a wide, soft spray to rinse and clean, safe enough for a luxury car finish. Now on this special TV offer, the complete Swirl On 2 cleaning system can be yours for just $29.95. Here's how to order.
To order Swirl On 2 for only $29.95 plus $5 shipping and handling, call toll-free 1-800-544-1000. That's 1-800-544-1000. For fastest delivery, use your credit card and call 1-800-544-1000.
ESPN's coverage of the Lime Rock Camel Grand Prix is brought to you by the 1987 German-engineered Volkswagens and your Volkswagen dealers. Now that we're past the halfway mark, let's take a look at our mid-race recap brought to you by Volkswagen. Al Holbert, your leader at the halfway mark in a Porsche. His margin of the lead almost 4 seconds over teammate Chip Robinson. Robinson, in fact, the man who has led the most laps from this point. He took the lead at the green flag at the start of the race and never gave it up until being passed by teammate Al Holbert just before halfway. The average speed has now gone well over 110 miles an hour. 18 cars out of the 22 that started the race remain in the field. David Loring is our leader in the lights class. Now the number 16 Porsche has made its way onto pit road. As you see the cars that are already out of the race, virtually all of them in crashes. I'm happy to say that just about everybody appears to be in good health. And there you see Rob Dyson's Porsche parked. Now he is making a driver change. There have been 3 drivers for the 2 Dyson Porsches. Team owner and driver Rob Dyson is out, and Englishman James Weaver will climb in to finish the race for Rob Dyson. As I mentioned before the commercial break, it is getting very warm here at Lime Rock, and that's what these teams were afraid of. It has been very humid. They thought maybe the cloud cover would hold, but now that cover is beginning to dissipate, and it's going to start to get hot, and that is going to be tough on drivers. We'll be back with more live coverage of the Lime Rock Camel Grand Prix from Lime Rock Park as James Weaver tries to get Rob Dyson's car off pit road. We'll be back.
A full line of Volkswagen Jettas. German-engineered, fuel-injected engine. Front-wheel drive. And now the best deal yet. 3.9 financing plus factory incentives on all Jetta models. But hurry, this limited offer makes them go fast.
Heaven on earth.
Don't get him started about his car.
Hey, Pete, toss me the Quaker State. This new Quaker State with QSX is a miracle. It gives car-carrying people superior engine protection.
Look at the sludge other leading motor oils leave behind. New Quaker State with QSX keeps your engine cleaner to last longer.
And that means I might spend the rest of my life in heaven.
Warned you.
Now reach for the best and grab a bargain. Save $3.60 on a case of new Quaker State.
Hello once again, everybody. I'm Chris Berman. Due to time restrictions, we're going to pick up the action from Lime Rock Park in Connecticut after 128 laps. Al Holbert has the lead. Here's Bob Barsha and Lynn St. James now from Lime Rock Park in Connecticut. Enjoy.
Back at Lime Rock, you're watching the number 44 Jaguar being driven by John Morton with 20 laps to go. Jaguar has made its second stop. They got their pit stops thrown off a little bit earlier when they had to stop with what Hurley Haywood suspected was a flat tire. It was not. They were back out on the race course now, running in 4th position, though, and they're in good shape the rest of the way. The singing V12 of Jaguar fame. We mentioned at the top of the show that this is the last year of the Group 44 Jaguar effort in IMSA Camel GT racing. It also brings to an end some 20 years of racing affiliation between Bob Tullius out of Winchester, Virginia, and the Jaguar factory. The Jaguar team will not go away, however. Next year, the #1 Jaguar team in Europe, Tom walk and trail racing will be back. Whoa, we've got a spin. As I speak, I looked down to pit road. We were told that Chip Robinson was coming back on the racetrack, and as I did, John Morton took a heavy spin in the Jaguar.
He just took his line going into turn 1. And it's the SDS car going into turn 1 again. That it looks like there's a fire there.
In the back of that
looks like he just released the...
Here's another look. Oh, my. The number 6 car that we saw earlier involved in a little contretemps with James Weaver in the Rob Dyson car has now come together with the Jaguar, and that car is smoking badly, but John Morton apparently is going to try to get it around the racetrack.
The Camel Light cars know that is a great place for the cars to overtake them, for GTP cars to overtake them. They need to check those mirrors, particularly at this point in the race.
Maybe we could get a pit report from the number 6 STS pit and find out.
The STS car is really very loose. Yeah, he's definitely now sustained some damage.
Okay, he pulls off. Charles Morgan in the lead of the car pulls off to the side and allows traffic to get by. We anticipate we'll see him on pit road if, in fact, he can handle this turn, one of the more difficult on the race course. It looks like he's okay, and maybe we can get some word from the pits as to what exactly has been going on with that race car today. No, he's going to try to keep it on the racetrack.
Oh, my heavens, not when you've got a car that's ill handling, as his obviously is. He may have flat spotted some tires, but if it's worse than that, it could also then have a worse situation out there.
And so Charles Morgan will try to keep that car on the racetrack and try to maintain some sort of position in the racetrack. Now the Jaguar is having to come in. We saw him limp away from the scene, smoking badly. John Morton will bring it in, and they will go around and try left side tires. We'll see if they go around and take the right side as well.
All 4 tires are taking off because I'm sure he flat spotted his tires in that situation, and if that's the worst he came out with it, we're going to be very fortunate for him.
We mentioned that this is the end for Group 44, but Jaguar will be represented by a British team. That's what the Jaguar factory wanted. A British Jaguar effort, both in Europe and in the United States. And so the Tom Watkins Show organization, as I mentioned, the team that has won the first 4 World Endurance or Sports Car World Championship races this year, will be an IMSA Camel GT Racing with their 7-liter V12 Jaguars. And that is going to be exciting. Talk about a head-to-head international competition. Jaguar and the reigning champion from Porsche. John Morton back on the racetrack, looking none the worse for wear. Apparently new rubber was all it took.
The Jaguar just has not been running that strong today. They started out running slower. We thought maybe it was tires, but I think probably that the engine just doesn't have the power because if he qualified much quicker, would have been able to run stronger. And the normally aspirated story that we had is worked for the Mustang, but not for the Jaguar.
Okay, great battle now as you see Scott Pruitt hanging it out in that Ford Mustang GTP car. He wants to one-lap himself from Al Holbert. This should be a good dice all the way around. We've got a stopwatch here on Holbert. Let's see if this battle has Al maybe a little bit closer to the floorboards with that gas pedal.
Well, Al knows he has a lap lead because he's confirmed that with his thank you, but he's still going to obviously be driving very hard and maybe not so wanting to, just give line here.
I know that Al Holbert also has a great deal of respect for Scott Pruitt. In fact, in trying to choose a new driver, the seat that Chip Robinson got, Al Holbert also talked with Scott Pruitt. He's just the kind of guy that he would like to have behind the wheel of a turbocharged car. And I'm sure Scott would love to have it, but he is very happy right now with his Ford affiliation, and there may be big things in Scott Pruitt's future. Not only driving in IMSA, but don't be surprised if you hear the name Scott Pruitt in NASCAR racing, perhaps IndyCar racing, perhaps Formula One racing. Al Holbert remains the lead as the battle goes on with less than 15 laps to go here at Lime Rock. We'll be back in just a moment.
BF Goodrich, Update 3 with Bob Strange, test engineer, subject tread design.
We've all noticed that different tires have different tread designs, and there's a reason for this. In the case of this particular tire, 3 of the important criteria that went into its tread design were dry handling, noise, and wet handling. To optimize dry handling, we chose fairly large blocks oriented laterally to better support the tread area under high cornering loads. For noise, as you can see, this block is much smaller than this one. By making each block a different size randomly around the tire, we appreciably reduce the amount of noise that the tire generates. To improve wet handling, we've chose fairly wide circumferential grooves to channel water in this direction, and also wide lateral grooves to allow water to escape out the sides of the tires.
These are just a few of the important reasons for tread design.
TA radios from BF Goodrich, tested tough to make your car perform.
Back on the racetrack at Lime Rock Park, and you see Al Holbert being pressed hard by Scott Pruitt in the black Ford Mustang GTP. The battle continues for the lead. Behind them, you see the number 43 of John Higgins, co-driving today with Howard Sherry. Interesting bunch of guys, John Higgins and that gang. All four drivers of those two matched cars, 42 and 43. We saw the 42 car go out on the first lap of the race, but the cars are identical. The four guys who drive them are company presidents from around the country. Yesterday, they decided, 2 days ago, on Saturday, they decided not to take part in the single car qualifying because they had an early tee time at the local golf course. Talk about your gentlemen racers. John Higgins, Chip Meade, Tim McAdam, Howard Katz. Let me correct myself. That is McAdam and Meade on the racetrack right now. Cherry and Higgins are out of the race. But either way, they have a good time when they go racing.
You know, Bob, they're still running number 1 and 2 here, are still running finger to nose there. And Al does not seem to be giving way at all. And he, as I said, he knows he's that he's got a lap lead against Scott. So, I know Scott's trying for all he's worth to get by, but he's got to also, the Ford team really needs to have a finish, not go for it to the point of blowing the whole thing.
There is the Howard Katz Steve Phillips number 73 light car, the number 3 light car on the racetrack, just momentarily inserting himself between the two leaders. The battle goes on. We have 10 laps to go. And there you see number 70, the Camel Light leader. That is David Loring, battling with number 63, Jim Downing. The battle goes on in Camel Lights. And interesting, too, that the Pontiac Fieros, the super speedway cars that have dominated this series through the first 6 races of 1987, are nowhere in the group here. The top running Pontiac Fiero at this point is in 4th position. That's the Bell & Klein car.
That's right. Downing just is trying very hard to get by because he needs to get by to unlap himself. He's running in 2nd, but if he unlaps himself and if there's a yellow or something at the end, then he can go right back up and have a much better chance to still try to go for the lead. He is really impressive.
That is Jim Downing's co-driver in that car right now. That is Michael Greensfield out of Manhasset, New York, who holds the qualifying lap record. Knows how to drive these race cars. He spends most of his time driving Formula Atlantic open-wheel cars. Michael Greenfield duking it out right now with David Loring. Greenfield trying to get around. As you say, Lynn, if he gets in front, we have a yellow flag, and we've seen it before this year with just a few laps to go. Then he will be able to move all the way around the racetrack. Now here's David Loring trying to get around the number 9 car that we saw earlier in the race, puffing smoke. Terry LaBelle and Bruce McGinnis in a Mazda-powered Taiga car, moving over a little bit now and letting David Loring go far. With just 9 laps to go, Al Holbert is the leader. Scott Pruitt's in 2nd. James Weaver's in 3rd. Whitney Gantz runs 4th. And John Morton, the Jaguar, is 5th. But this man leads the Camel Lights class. And Lynn, I got to tell you, I've been pulling for this guy all day long. A guy who works for 3 years on a cattle ranch in Alaska, 35 miles from the nearest watering hole, and now comes back, puts together his own car, names it after a mountain using Indian language.
Not only that, he's also not had a driver change, so he's not a first driver.
And he's going the whole way by himself. Plus, he's kept his windshield in place this year. He's decided not to go the convertible route, which I'm sure has made the IMSA officials feel a lot better. There is the battle for the lead. Al Holbert holding off Scott Pruitt. Pruitt, too, wants to get his lap back and get on around the racetrack in case we get a yellow flag in the few laps remaining at Lime Rock. We'll be back for the conclusion of this exciting race from Lime Rock Park after this.
Hi. I've been looking all over for this terrific video cassette I heard about. It's called Not So Great Moments in Sports. Like one scene is where Billy Martin tries to give an ump a shoe shine.
That's a fantastic video. My favorite part is where John McEnroe plays tennis with his orange juice.
I hear there's a scene where Reggie Jackson protests the Gaylord Perry spitball with a visual aid.
Yeah. I love it where a kicker tries to play quarterback. Not So Great Moments is 45 minutes of the funniest sports footage I've ever seen.
Great, so you have it.
No, it's not in video stores yet.
Now what do I do?
You get it free.
Let me understand. You don't have the video, but you're going to tell me how to get it free.
Right.
Am I missing something?
You're missing out on Sports Illustrated.
Sports Illustrated? I love SI. What does Sports Illustrated have to do with it?
You get not-so-great moments in sports free with your paid subscription.
Oh, I let my subscription run out.
Well, now's a perfect time to go for it again. You get 25 weeks of America's best sports coverage, including the Pro Football Spectacular with all the picks, previews, and profiles, and the beautiful swimsuit issue.
I like that.
Everybody likes that. You even get a handy NFL schedule.
And not-so-great moments in sports?
You get it all.
I do? How?
Just call Sports Illustrated's toll-free number.
Wait a minute. All that great footage has got to be worth a fortune.
I ought to know.
Yeah, I'll bet they raised the price of the magazine, right?
It's over 47% off the cover price. Just 3 installments of $9.89 each. You can even put it on a credit card.
No kidding. I get 25 weeks of SI, including the Pro Football Spectacular, the football schedule, the swimsuit issue, and the video cassette free.
You get it all. Just call 1-800-621-7000.
I gotta get to a phone. What's that number again?
Here, 1-800-621-7000.
Hi. Have you heard of not-so-great moments in sports?
Back live at Lime Rock, you're watching the battles for the 2 championships going on in one picture. There is the number 70 car of David Loring to the right of your screen, Al Holbert to the left. Each of them trying to hold off a competitor who is a lap down as the laps continue to dwindle here. We're down to about 5 laps to go. Al Holbert leads Scott Pruitt past the battle for Camel Lights between David Loring and Jim Downing. 5 laps remaining of this 1.53-mile circuit. They've been lapping at better than 49 seconds a lap, very close to what these cars qualified at. It has been a sprint race since an early yellow flag that kept these cars at a walking pace for about 14 laps. The pit scrambling has been tremendous. The driver changing has been definitely out of the ordinary. But right now, Al Holbert, as he has so many times in his career in IMSA racing, has come to the top.
Scott just went for that inside move. I think he was quicker down the hill, which it really, from a torque standpoint, shouldn't be, but he was quicker down the hill. He knew it, and he finally set him up for that move.
Gutsy move, too, because Scott had to put the hammer down while he had one of the lights cars at the bottom of the hill waiting for him.
That's right. Looks like now he's even going to pull a little bit of a lead.
So Al Holbert decides that discretion is the better part of valor and gives way to a fire-breathing Scott Pruitt in the black number 4 Ford Mustang GTP.
Scott is flying now.
Okay, Chip Robinson, you see, went through so much heartbreak earlier when he spun off the course and did some damage to the car and got back on the race course, but now he is back in the pits, and they're looking underneath. Definite problems with the number 14 car that led this race almost to the halfway point before giving way to his teammate. See crew chief Kevin Doran back there with his hand to his earpiece. And they're going to send Chip Robinson back out. Remember, he is the leader in Camel GT driver points this year. He's going to want to maintain that position. Holbert has led since the 68th of these 150 laps. He and Scott Pruitt are the only cars on the lead lap right now. And right now, all Al Holbert has to do is keep it between the white lines.
Well, he made Scott earn that pass, and he made him work for it, but now he can still relax a little bit because he does have almost a full lap lead now. But it was a really good race, I think, showing the youth of Scott, and the energy, the equipment, and the of Al Holbert.
Second-generation racer from Warrington, Pennsylvania. Al Holbert's father, Bob Holbert, raced Porsches in competition for the Four-Star Club of America ranks for a number of years. In fact, from race to race, you'll find Bob Holbert in his son's pits. Al calls him one of the best pit strategists in the business. I've seen him in the 24 Hours of Daytona, and he is very much into his son's racing. Now, here is Scott Pruitt, who is providing all the fireworks in the late stages of the race here.
Fireworks underneath the car has been doing all the race, and really just driving with a lot of fire. Every corner you can see he's got the car in a full drift and just taking every inch of the racetrack that he can. He is...
Bingo. Sparks right there. All at 10-10.
There's not enough time, but Scott, that doesn't matter to him. I mean, he's just going to do everything he can to gain as much as he can.
Okay, we're going to put a clock with 2 laps remaining. We'll try a clock on Scott Pruitt, and let's see. 146 miles an hour. I must confess, I missed him with the stopwatch. Forget that idea. 146, fast enough for me.
Yeah, slower than what we were turning earlier, but, the track conditions are changing now. He's obviously, there's a lot of debris out there, so you have to be much more careful where you put the car. That affects many times the top speed that you get.
Now he'll overtake slower traffic, which will in turn slow down Scott Scott Pruitt, 26-year-old native of Roseville, California. The Camel GT stops to come at Sears Point and at Portland. Scott will have a big cheering section among his West Coast neighbors. Here is your leader, Al Holbert, making his way around. One lap remaining here in the Lime Rock Camel Grand Prix, and an eventful race it has been. From the opening lap, the first turn where Al Holbert almost took himself out of the race with an overly aggressive move at the first turn. He has come back to take the lead on lap 68, and Al Holbert has claimed his 48th victory in IMSA Camel GT competition, rewriting the record that he himself holds. In fact, Al Holbert tied the record for Camel GT victories in this race last year with his 42nd career win. He later went on to become the overall IMSA win leader. And there you see David Loring, who for the second straight year has driven wall-to-wall, as has Al Holbert, in his self-designed and built Mazda-powered Denali Racer. Nice job by David Loring. There you see Scott Pruitt flying down the front straightaway. One last shot, one last blaze of sparks for Scott Pruitt, who will finish second in the Ford Mustang GTP. Well, there's the happy Lowenbrow crew cheering on their hero, Al Holbert. And we'll be back to meet the man himself after these short messages. You're watching live here on ESPN.
Racing from the inside. No one covers it like Auto Week. Auto Week makes you an insider at the world's great races every week. In the pits, behind the scenes, in the cockpit, with columnists who race and win. Inside coverage of Formula cars, stockers, sports cars, just days after the race. Auto Week puts you inside the world's most exciting cars every week. Right behind the wheel, inside the whole automotive scene. Personalities, cars of the past, industry news. Let Auto Week make you an insider, too. Call 1-800-554-3000 to get Auto Week at the lowest price ever. Just $17.25 for 52 issues, only 33 cents a week. Save 25% off the basic rate. Get Auto Week today. Call 1-800-554-3000. Operators are standing by. Let Auto Week make you an insider.
Once again, back at Lime Rock, Al Holbert is your leader over the Ford of Scott Pruitt in a great day of racing here in Lime Rock, Connecticut. ESPN's coverage of the Lime Rock Camel Grand Prix is brought to you by BF Goodrich TA Radials. We make your car perform. And by Quaker State Motor Oil. New Quaker State with QSX keeps your engine cleaner to last longer. By Pontiac, America's road car company. Pontiac, we build excitement. Lynn, your final result, your reaction on the race today.
Al Holbert didn't win it on the first lap, but he didn't lose it either, and he won it. Congratulations.
He won it on the 68th lap. Another masterful performance by the master of IMSA Camel GT Racing. We hope you've enjoyed our live coverage of the 7th round of the Camel GT this year. For Gary Lee, Marty Reed, Lynn St. James, and all of us here at ESPN, have a good Memorial holiday, and so long.
He has